Welcome everyone to the Island Life podcast, where we journey onto the island of discovery to relive some of the best and worst moments of Survivor. My name is Will, an experienced Survivor fan, 47 seasons deep, and I will be your guide. And joining us on this adventure is our rising Survivor fan with 9 seasons under her belt, and
Hello.
And of course, we also welcome the star of our show. He is the brand new Survivor fan who just finished his first season of the show. I give you Survivor F.
Pleasure to be here. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing great, and we're close. We are approaching the beginning of the end for our first retro season. What are the vibes?
They're getting better. I remember there being issues with certain people and making sure that you have an interest in following their storylines. And I can say the most recent episodes we've watched have been trending in the right direction. The storylines are getting more and more interesting as we go.
There's definitely a lot more like confrontations, which is exciting for me.
Like minutes of screaming on screen there are much more of those now in this older season.
Yeah, I need that. I need more fight. I need more anger, which is great in this season, especially in these 2 episodes that we just watched.
Yeah, the secrets, the drama, the willingness to just exploit each other just out in the open. Loves to see it.
Well, out in the open's the key, right? Like there's a lot. One criticism I would understand if you felt this way is there is way less strategic conversations going on. But in exchange, so much is just out in the open, whether on the beach or at tribal, just saying it out for everyone to hear, even if it makes everyone angry. And we're at the part of the game where everyone is going to be on the jury. So now we see someone go home. It's like, oh, they left hating this person. Like, it's probably going to be pretty obvious who they would and would not vote for if they get to that position.
That would be
Right.
That would be true. I didn't even think about it like that, where you're right, the jury is starting. So now you have to be more meticulous and not be so hateful. John.
Well, I just mean like as an audience,
Oh, that's fair.
I think for the current season of 47, like the one we saw, it was kind of like we think we could predict how someone on jury would vote, but we don't like really know. In these seasons, you still never know. You cannot know with certainty, but there might be some safe bets where it's like, okay, this person probably isn't going to vote for that person, or they're besties. Of course, they're going to vote for each other if they have the opportunity.
That's a very good observation. I never really thought about that, but I think you hit the nail on the head where it calls into question the pacing. The first season I watched being season 47, that was not the issue that we're kind of describing here. And I think part of it has to do with the episodes were longer. So gives a little bit more time in between to get into these things rather than you have a segment of certain group of people talking and you get little cuts here and there. And I've described my issues with certain contestants being, it feels like they're invisible, such as Trish. I've noticed that Dara's been kind of out doing her thing, but like we don't really get to see her too much. So I think part of it could just be that they have instances where they need to pick up the pace due to the episode runtime. So they're just showing us whatever the important events are. And later seasons probably address this a little bit better is what I would assume.
Oh yeah. Like right now we know 3 members of the jury, and the closer we get, I think like you can start and maybe let's do it right now. You can start to theorize who's in the best position for jury votes. So not just like they're a star, so I think they're going to win the game. It's more like, okay, I know who the possible jurors are. is there anyone that is really likely to vote for someone else? And I think it was more in these days. It was more straightforward for projecting that.
Hmm. I have to give it some thought. If you're actually asking, like, who we think would the jurors be more favorable towards, I'm still leaning towards Sandra. I think Sandra, for the most part, is someone who, outside of maybe John, gets along with everyone. She's someone who is doing her thing. She's not necessarily very competitive as some of the other people are in challenges, but she has a good social game, in my opinion, which I think does work in her favor when it comes to jury votes.
Yeah, I see that Sandra being a good one. I also see Burton being a good one where a lot of people respect their game for um to win. Although I don't know if they, like, would be like, "Oh, he is an outcast, so he doesn't deserve the vote," or whatnot, but I don't know how people feel about it then, but I think that Burton has done enough coming back to deserve some sort of jury vote if he makes it to top 3. But I do think that with Rupert gone, I kind of am curious to see how Sandra and Krista shine or dull out. We'll have to see. I just need to see that because I feel like with Rupert there, Sandra and Krista's been kinda, like, behind him. So now without him, I wanna see what they do.
Agreed.
With that, let's get into the first one. We'll build our way. So we'll build our way up to our final 6 because you might not notice, but that's where we are. That we got 6 people left. But let's get to it. So we start episode 10 with 8 people left, and this episode was called "Swimming with Sharks." As we have ideally some big players left in the game. We'll see who could survive the competition.
Yeah, right off the
And
bat. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna point out we start with in the aftermath of uh the previous episode, John and Burton, they start like much more consciously working together and they voice the specific plan that they would like to break up Krista, Rupert, and Sandra, and the obvious target of who neither of them think they can beat is Rupert out of those 3.
Yeah, exactly what I was gonna get into. I was gonna say right off the bat, you see the pressure being applied to Rupert. Everyone sees, at least the people who aren't working with him, do start to see and notice more of how he's sticking out, how he potentially could be a major threat. So you really start to see conversations tailored around how do we get him out. Now, the thing that I look at is, he's providing for the group. He's the one helping them be fed every day. He's helping out little bits here and there, and he's a very friendly guy. So my thinking was, are they going to be quick to get him out, or are they going to be a little bit hesitant in terms of seeing him as a shield for some of the contestants that we can kind of sit, wait, and he's going to be providing us food, so it might not be best to get him out right away, but it was one of those things where you definitely could see that he's got a fire that he needs to put out right away.
And think about this. This conversation played out on day 25. Day 25 out of 39. And in season 47, tomorrow's the last day of the season because it's a 26-day season. But right now, with 39 days, they got 2 weeks left. So if you take out your provider, then you need to survive 2 more weeks without them.
That's insane behavior. He literally is doing everything. And like he's the only one that's fishing or getting any of their food. Without him, they're done. Like I feel like even if I think Rupert's up top, I might be like, I think we need to keep him for a bit, you know? I know myself. I can't last a full week without food in my belly. And I don't know. I just don't think that was a right call, but at the same time I see it because he is a very he's very high up there, but I also think that since he's so high up there, he is an obvious choice to take out in the future. But But I see why Burton like sees him as a threat and wants to take him out. I just wish it wasn't like this because I'm partial to Rupert, as you know. You guys know from other episodes. I'm like, I want him to win, guys.
Yeah, how did you feel? I mean, his name was coming up all episode. So like
Oh,
the 2
I'm
minute
swearing
mark.
at Burton. Screw you, Burton. I thought you were a good guy.
I would question if he would have as much pressure applied to him if it wasn't John and Burton really initiating things there. I think they really fed the narrative in terms of he's a major threat. I would think if they were left to their own accord, the girls might not be as quick to get Rupert out, and they'd be willing to
Oh.
wait things out and just kind of make sure that they have another target that they can focus in on, at least for the next couple of I guess episodes, whatever they would translate into in-game days.
So you would say like Rupert shoulder all of the pressure.
I
All the
love that you
votes.
keep making those puns, and I hope they don't stop. Yeah,
Never.
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, but as much as we love Rupert, for the other 7 people, they're probably correct that they all lose to Rupert. So if the name of the game is winning the $1 million, we can't have Rupert being here.
But that doesn't necessarily mean we can't have him here this very episode. It could mean that we can't have him here maybe tomorrow or the day after or the day after, at least up
Yeah.
until before we get into the final 2 or final 3.
Okay, fine. Let's put the pressure on you now. So you're saying final 8 is too soon. 2 weeks is too long for you to survive without him. So at what point do you want to attempt to get out Rupert?
I would wait for at least 2 more tribals. I wouldn't try to get him out until maybe like 5 or 6. Then it is risky in the sense that he is good at challenges, but I can't be going into this. I can't be a contestant in Survivor thinking that I'm going to be losing every challenge. I need to have some confidence in my ability to win these games and not rule out that I can beat him in a challenge.
Oh, I like the way you think, F, because I'm the opposite. I'm going to assume every challenge I'm losing. So I'm going to want to target the person that's known as the quote unquote survivor beast, the one that's like always going to win, the Kyle, the Rachel from 47. Like, I'm going to have hope for the best that those people shine. So the moment they slip up, gone, goodbye. They'll be like, Ange, not her. She'll never survive. We could kick her out anytime. She's going to lose. So like without Rupert, who do you think is like the current like challenger? Like the guy that's like or the girl that's like the best challenger when it comes to immunity?
Burton easily.
Mhm.
Burton.
Yeah, I agree. How about you?
It's really just it has been mostly them two for most of the season. And my attitude aligns closer to Ange for the reason that if my plan A involves me winning, there's gonna be a lot of plan Bs. So I really should make plan A operate on the worst case scenario so that way I've accounted for the bad outcome. If we get the good outcome, I win, even better. So I think that's how I also would like if you're Dara, and maybe this is a bit of self-inflicted, but her plan A probably does not involve her winning immunity challenges.
Yeah. Dara's plan is just to be in the shadow and not care. Like be like, you know what? I lose. Take me out. That Dara's attitude is me during Mafia. Just take me out. Just choose me. I don't care. I have nothing to lose.
I can't condone that strategy either, right?
I
Doesn't feel like a
Not
winning
in Survivor.
strategy.
Yeah, not in
Yeah.
Survivor,
Yeah,
but in
not sure what the
Mafia, that's
end
how
game
I
is
would
there.
play. But
No, I respect that. I think that is a more
Mhm.
pragmatic way to view things in, how can you realistically assess how you're doing? But my optimism stems from the fact that these are, for the most part, we've seen physical challenges where he could have that advantage. But if you're going more into the mental game, if we see more puzzles, if we utilize our mind a little bit more, hey, I'm a little bit more confident that I can beat someone like Rupert, where it's not just physicality that matters in the challenge.
Possibly. All right, but let's bring math. So I'm gonna bring math to the party. So they believe correctly that Rupert, Krista, and Sandra are working together, and it is very unlikely that any of them would vote for each other. That's their viewpoint at this point in time. So if you let it get to final 6, then even if everyone else is on the same page, then it's going to be 3 votes versus 3 votes. And if you let it get beyond final 6, then you will lose to them because it'll be 3 versus 2. So
Mhm.
your choices are target Rupert at final 8 or final 7, or successfully vote out Krista or Sandra in 7 or 8. Because if you don't do one of those 2 things, then now you have to
Yeah.
break up the alliance with your words, with your social skills. And granted, if you can do that, that's amazing. That makes you a great Survivor player if you can break an alliance with your words.
Right.
But easier said than done.
Yeah, no, I think it's just going back to the original thought I had where, yeah, and not necessarily in this tribal, but maybe 2 tribals down the road. I do think that coming into this episode, I was thinking if anyone's going to get eliminated without really seeing what the episode entailed, my thought was it's either going to be John or it's going to be Krista. So I agree with you. I think Krista, Rupert, and Sandra would need to be together, and it would make it harder to get any of them out at that point. But I'm of the thought that in my scenario, Krista would be getting out within this episode or the next one.
Understood. And I kind of feel, I mean, it's easy to say from the couch where I don't have to suffer on the island. But if I'm already gonna target Krista, like, why am I? Let's just cut off the head of the steak, like as is.
Yeah.
Is kind of my
No,
attitude. It is.
I respect that. Yeah, I see. I'm not like opposed to that view. I completely understand that strategy. I just it's the optimist in me. It's that I feel like I don't have to be as concerned about this person winning all these challenges. He is also the figurehead of that tribe, but I think there's more to that than meets the eye. And I think we've had a lot of plot twists in every episode of Survivor that I've watched. So things don't always go the way you expect. And you're not necessarily thinking that if you're on the island, I'm sure, but us as viewers, that gives me a little bit of a different perspective. So I think that's maybe why some people who've watched the show have that bravado in them to be able to, hey, I can go in and win with this strategy, right?
Right. Right. Uh, Now, John and Burton, they will choose. I mean, this is not like too big. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of smarts to come up with this, but I mean, in these early seasons, credit is due when we get like strategy moves. So they each reach out to Dara and Tawana because they know, okay, if our target is that group of 3, we need everybody else to be on our side, basically. So that means D&T, who, funny enough, they like barely react to this. They're like, okay. You would think there'd be like we would get more of their side of the story, because from them two, it's possible they prefer to be with that. Like maybe they want to be part of that group of 3 to create a group of 5, and then like the 5 of them stick together, maybe. But we don't really get their story.
Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
just kind of winging it. They
They're
started out
kind
with
of
Team
just
Morgan, so
yeah,
they're like, we'll take
free
what we can
flowing.
get.
Yeah, they're kind of free flowing. I feel like for those 2, they're kind of stuck in a bad situation because I want to be in the final 3. I don't want to be part of a 5 where I'm not in the majority. Because if I'm in the 2 of a 5 group, I just feel like I'm going to be taken out when it's just us 5. So like it doesn't work for either team. So it's either going to be with Rupert, Sandra, Krista, or is it going to be with Lillian, Burton, or John? And I feel like either or I'm trying to figure out which one do I have the best odds to like win somebody's heart to pull them in to like be with me, which is hard. And I feel like less likely with John and Lillian because they just had I feel like Lillian just has a bad vibe with old Morgan people. So if I were them, I would rather try out for Krista, Sandra, and Rupert. I think they have a higher chance. But that's where I'm
Yeah, it
going
really
with.
sucks that each of these two sides have the two challenge beasts, because your option could be to try to brute force your way to the end by winning immunities. But now either way you go, either you have to defeat Rupert at some point, or you have to defeat Burton at some point. So you can't even like pretend to be on their side and then beat them, because then it's hard to, like I was just saying, it's hard to make your plan A to go beat Rupert in immunity at final 5, let's say, and final 4 and final 3. Like, that's difficult. So we get a lot of people saying they're gonna work together. We'll see if that actually happens. But brings us to the reward challenge. This reward challenge was called Rats in the Riggin'. And this was the one where there's an obstacle course set up on a whole like ship, which is pretty interesting. And everyone will split up into randomly chosen pairs. They have to climb up a net. Uh, they have to hit bells to go on, retrieve a rope with a grappling off swing. It was a lot of stuff. It looked pretty fun. It kind of came out of nowhere, because usually when we get these obstacle course style challenges are more like there's this big like jungle gym looking thing made out of bamboo, and you're going over and under that kind of stuff. So having a big pirate ship is very different.
It is, and much scarier, because this kind of reminds me when we were in college, right? There is a family night that happens, and there is like this obstacle course that is like it's like a bouncing place or whatever. But this one is like, no, it's full on net and boat. You have 1 foot through, oh, you're done. So a little scary, but very cool. I like the idea of it being on a pirate ship. Really sticks on the theme. I'm loving the theme, because I don't think there's ever a season where I felt like I was so on theme. They were like every challenge there's something to do with pirates.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
we got to see some chaos ensue during the challenge too, especially Jeff with the call-outs. Saw Rupert slip and fall. We saw Lillian slip and fall, and Jeff was on top of that. He's like, make sure those camera guys get those shots of these guys potentially injuring themselves.
Yeah. And then you see John completely missing the bell. Like he slides down. It's like, oh, John didn't hit the bell. And then Rupert's just disappointed dad look, just staring at him like how he stares at the troubled teens. Troubled again.
It was a fun Bizarro World team, John and Rupert working together.
Oh, it's crazy. How did they pick? Did I miss how they pick it? Was it just randomized?
It was random. The only thing you would have missed is Jeff being like, you will compete in randomly chosen pairs, blah blah blah. But like, we don't actually see it.
Oh yeah, okay.
happen.
So they didn't like pull anything. Okay, because I thought they did, and then I missed it. How unfortunate.
It was probably like draw rocks, and then like whoever gets the same colored rocks, you're on the same team.
How unfortunate. I feel like John purposely did bad.
If it, so this was immunity, or this was reward. So like if it was immunity, maybe you throw the challenge so that Rupert loses, but it was reward. However, there is a kind of theory that says don't win reward challenges, because then people get mad at who you bring, like if you don't bring them. The only asterisk is that in this season, you can always choose to give up your reward. And I guess that's just true for all the seasons. It just doesn't come up as often now.
I don't like it. I don't like the idea of giving up your reward, because no matter what, they're going to hate you. Then they're going to hate you even more for not giving up your reward, but you like earned it though, you know? So the idea of like people not liking you or not being happy because you're not giving up your reward, kind of like giving up your immunity, is just like, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. But I think I would go by not trying to win award challenges, simply because I don't want to pick the person to come with me, because that really puts me out there on who I find as an alliance. And also I wouldn't want to pick someone that I don't think is my alliance either though.
It's a double-edged sword. It's it definitely
Yeah.
throws politics into the equation, and all I gotta say is someone definitely got a reward, because the most memorable part of the episode for me has been Lillian right after they won, kissing Burton like right on the mouth, just totally unprovoked. Just
That was crazy.
such a memorable snippet of the episode.
So memorable, we went back to watch it again.
Yeah, like that. Did
Just
she
to
just
confirm.
did she just do that?
It was like, I don't think you should do that, Lillian. Chill. I feel like Bert also backed it up too. Like he was like, but you can't go away from the grasp, the double hand grasp smooch. You
Like it's
can't
too
get away
awkward
from
now.
it.
Just gotta
Yeah, you just
go
gotta
with it.
breathe it in. Yep, just take it in. I love the editor had that in there too. Like there is no cutting. There's just show, bam, bam, just in case Lillian's husband don't miss it.
Yeah, that was strange. Maybe it's a 2003ism question mark. I don't know.
She's just very friendly. Let's just put it at that.
Yeah. She shows her excitement and love with kisses in the lips.
It's going to be funny. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for Burton. Anytime she's happy around him, you'll see Burton just immediately flinch.
So Burton and Lillian, as you say, they end up winning this challenge, and Jeff offers both of them the opportunity to give up their reward. Burton had earlier in this episode in a confessional explained to us that intentionally he had promised Rupert that if he won reward, he would give it to him with a stated plan of like building trust and keeping this going. But then he just disobeys his own plan and actually gives it to John. And meanwhile, Lillian just keeps it for herself.
I was going to ask you guys, what do you think changed in that short window of time that made Burton just go back on his original plan?
I personally feel like he just didn't care. Like he didn't care the fact that Rupert knows that the alliance is no longer there. Because him giving his reward to a Rupert means like he is a man of his word, like he's like, if I win, this is all yours. By not doing that, he shows off to Rupert that, hey, yeah, I'm not a man of my word and you're going out and you should be careful. But he's not scared that Rupert feels that way because he is confident that he's got the majority vote. And I think that's why he was like, whatever, screw it. And have John in there because John can then, you could solidify John's alliance and don't have to worry about don't need to worry and have to say goodbye to Rupert. I think that's why he changed it up because there's no need to pretend anymore. There's no immunity idol. There's no need.
Do you think it's that, or do you think that he's more confident that he can beat Rupert in challenges because he just beat him in a challenge?
Ooh, I didn't even think of it like that. No, I didn't even think about it like that. But I still think like he's just, he just feels like he had majority vote. Like there's just no way he was going to lose.
Agreed.
So, and why pretend? Because I feel like current seasons, you probably want to pretend to be friends with Rupert because just in case Rupert has an idol or some sort of advantage that you don't know of, because, I low-key kind of miss the idol searching and immunity advantage finding right now. I'm like itching for someone to look for these things, but no one's doing it. But I think because there's none of those, he doesn't have to be scared. Like in this season, you could just straight up be like, yo, F, you're going. This is it. The only fear
and in
is
fact, we've seen people do that too.
Yeah. The only scary part is F screaming at my face like Rupert did. That would be my biggest fear. Don't scream at my face.
No, definitely. No, that would not be me, especially not Rupert trying to choke and then just back. Like he had to make sure he didn't get his hands on John because that would have been a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Oh, for sure. I wonder like if there is like a physical fight ever, like fist to the face type of thing,
Oh, if you make contact with someone, then you're gone. You were just
you'll be facing charges
You
probably.
were done.
So a winning strategy is to get everyone to punch you in the face, like make them mad enough to punch you. And if everyone does that, then you're the last person standing. And
is that what John's trying to do?
I was gonna say suddenly John's starting to make a lot more sense. Johnny Fairplay.
He's now smart. Now I see that he has a brain. No, I'm kidding.
You see the vision.
I see the vision. Yeah, I see it now, John. Sorry, my bad. I didn't know. I didn't understand, but now I do.
But moving on to the actual reward itself, we see John get selected. We see Lillian get selected. Well, Lillian herself just kept her vote, but then we see actually John get selected from Burton, and they go and have a good time. They're able to enjoy themselves on a boat, eat some nice food, thinking about how they're gonna fish and bring it back to the rest of the group. And we see a lot of doubts from Lillian, right? We see that she's not sure what she wants to do. She feels bad. She feels self-conscious about her actions towards some of her tribe mates. And it's interesting to see someone do that because I haven't seen too much of that in Survivor. So for someone to be able to self-reflect and ask themselves, am I doing the right thing? It's kind of a breath of fresh air.
I personally got a little annoyed when she was like, "Oh, I don't know, they're gonna see me like this," and it's like, "Lillian, no." Like, it's just where I'm like, I'm seeing her like just snowball into this mindset, and I'm like, what's going on, Lillian? I feel like she was panicking because she didn't choose somebody. It shouldn't been her, but it's like, no, it's okay. It's okay. Just let it be. John's even like, what is going on right now? Like, why are you feeling like this? Just enjoy your pizza, drink some beer, and let's not catch fish because let's starve, I guess, because we're gonna take out the only guy that can fish. But it's okay. We got a bucket of fish at home. That's
I
enough for 2
mean,
weeks.
yeah, they could have caught fish. That was part of the reward. They're fishing on the boat.
My theory is they didn't even try. They didn't even try to
They like
fish.
they
Yeah.
like wiggled the pole
Yeah.
with like
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah, they're like, "You know what? I think this is good enough. Oh, more pizza."
I just want to believe and hope that she followed through with it and was genuine in that sense. But sad to say, yeah, having those doubts and then going up to the person afterwards. She went up to Rupert afterwards, once they got back and had to say, "Hey, I'm sorry I didn't pick you." And that was just completely unnecessary. I don't know what the point of that was. That's kind of, adding insult to injury, especially if someone like Rupert is expecting to be selected. So I think they could have just done without that conversation. It made Lillian come off as just ignorant. And, it made me call into question, like, what is she genuine in how she feels? Because if she is, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now.
Yeah, or is it her trying to build up this niceness to get Rupert's vote if she ever made it to top 3? Like, I always
Right.
wonder now, like, thinking that, "Hey, Rupert will be the 2nd jury," which is crazy to think that he would be the 2nd one. Like, I would think he's, like, the top, like, the last jury, top 5, you know? So to think that he didn't even get there, it just saddens me a little bit.
Yeah, and really it turns out because again we don't because Morgan was pretty much ripped apart. There isn't really like a Drake versus Morgan like alliance versus alliance going on. M- There's a 3, Rupert, Krista, and Sandra. They seem very clearly aligned, but Lillian and Burton have rapport as the outcasts in the episode before this one. They both chose to betray, or not even betray, just go against Morgan tribe together. And there's separately John and Burton who want to get out Rupert, and then separately Dara and Tawana just hang out together. So it kind of it does take like all these separate groups of 2 to get together, but when they do, I mean, they outnumber. That's 5-3, and I think the episode made a lot more out of it than it really was because ultimately, it's Lillian is the only person unsure about going against Rupert. But even if she doesn't, then that's going to be a tie, and it's dangerous to end up in a tie. So I think like at that point, at that you just you don't make a tie. So Lillian was always gonna depending. It just depends on will she listen to logic like that.
Right.
That
And
yeah. Go ahead.
we see that, even Rupert himself has some sort of self-assurance that he's been warned about Lillian. Is she going to turn on him? And he has he doesn't have any doubts. He's confident that he can speak to her, understand what they talked about, and that she would not be voting for him. And he spent most of the episode just confident in his ability to stay for one more game. And that's what the episode was focused in on, sort of those relationships. What are we able to build off of our time here on the island so far? How do people change over time? How has Lillian changed over time? She's now more willing to go and defy whatever your expectations of her are going to be. And we see her change in the sense that I don't think that day one Lillian would have done this. I think she probably would have stuck with Rupert. But we now see that she spent more time on the island. She probably has figured out that if I want to be smart, if I need to be a little bit more pragmatic, I need to be a little bit ruthless. I need to, I need to really stick it to the man whenever I can. So for her, she sees an opportunity there based on what John and Burton are telling her, and she follows through with it despite Rupert coming up to her afterwards. And she doesn't give him any indication that things are going to be wrong for him. She just goes about her business and allows him to think that he'll be fine.
And it works. I mean, he buys it. She's able to do, and this is all possible, of course, because at the immunity challenge, which is called Killer, this was the blow dart game where you shoot blow darts at each person's section. This is one of those things where, like, again, like, Rupert's great at this, Burton's great at this. I'm like, how? Like, at what point in your life did you just, like, train in blow darts? But they're pretty good. But funny enough, because of a critical mistake by Sandra, who ends up hitting Rupert's section, Rupert will eventually end up being eliminated, and then
I was so bummed about that.
and
I know.
Byrne was really the only other person who could consistently hit the target he wanted to. So at that point, he was able to clean up and get the win. And like you're saying, the work that John and Byrne have put into this is going to pay off, because Tawana and Dara are definitely on board. And now it's just, does Lillian want to make it a tie or not? And she decides to not. And the 5 of them will vote for Rupert. Rupert and Krista will vote for Dara. Sandra and John get into a shouting match at Tribal, so we're not even past Tribal yet. And Sandra decides, you know what? Just for that, I am gonna put 1 vote on John. Not because he's a target, but I'm mad.
It's not smart, but honestly, I love her for it. I love her for
very
it.
iconic. I'm like,
So-
why, Sandra? But in the end of the day, if she didn't pick John, Rupert Silk was going to lose. So she put a statement. She put a target on who she wants to go down, and it is clearly John. I love it. It's iconic of her.
Like, I do hope that she was under the impression that they'd lost the battle already, like that she thought Lillian was against them. Because if Lillian actually was with them, that would have meant 4 votes Rupert, 3 votes Dara, 1 vote John.
That would have been so bad. I would die.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I just, how dejected Rupert was on being voted out, right? Like seeing the cut of him.
Oh, his
having to walk
his
out.
final words.
Exactly.
So heartbroken.
So bad. And
It's like,
and it
what's
was
the
like- it
point
was-
of living if I can't win
that
$1
was the
million?
first sequence where I remember someone just being so down and out of it, and they're just like, I mean, outside of Austin, of course, but just being like, oh, this is it, this is my life, this is all I've worked towards, and now it means nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like usually they're positive, like, let's
They
do
are,
this,
it's
like,
usually
if
it's
I
like,
don't have
yeah, I
this-
got taken out, but it was a great learning experience. I'm very proud of what I did. I'm excited to see what happens next. Everyone versus Rupert's just like, life
Exactly.
sucks. Everything is terrible. What's the point? I'm jumping
I
off this cliff
know.
now. Goodbye. Cool world.
It was
Pretty much.
It was so sad, because maybe even you get a mad reaction, like F all of them, that might be interesting, but no, he's just
No.
it's all meaningless.
Well, the thing is that the other episode, he, like, poured his heart out to Burton, being straight up like, "This hurt me," or "This is how I felt," and then, like, I think he truly thought that this is the beginning to a wonderful relationship, or some sort of relationship, so it just kinda stinks how it kind of all turned to this.
It really stung because, like, right at the start of that tribal too, they asked a question about Rupert and his role in the group, and Sandra was saying that, yeah, without Rupert, like, he's the one who brings us fish every day. Like, we really
Mhm.
need someone like Rupert, like, he's a team player. And you're there, right? If imagine you're in his shoes, you're listening to that, you're like, "Yeah, yeah, I do matter, I play an important role." And then to come away with being voted out, that same tribal, you're gonna be pretty upset over that, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be thinking, "Wow, was that, like, all for show, or, like, did these guys actually even mean any of that?"
Yeah, and especially since you did so much, like, he worked very hard
No
in the
doubt.
tribe from the start to the end. He's fishing, he is building shelter, he helped the other tribe out in the short time he was there. He was working the entire time. Like, he poured his heart out to help, and I feel like it it may be less about winning the $1,000,000, but more like being to be part of a community that people appreciate him and vote him because he is good. But unfortunately, in Survivor, that's not how it works, and you are too good, and you are a threat, you're being taken out. So it just stinks. I feel like to him, he saw it as a not that he was a threat, more so he is a you like some people that get voted out, they're like, "Wow, you thought I was that big of a threat?" Like, I feel like that's what people
Mm.
kinda go off the attitude with, but him was more like, "Yeah, like, I guess, like, it just stings, like, there's no point of meeting, I do so much work, and this is not appreciated," which is very hurtful, you know? Oh, it was so sad for him.
So we go to the next episode, episode 11, which is aptly named The Great Lie. And this is a legendary episode. This is one that I've been looking for. I was looking forward to the episode where the outcasts appeared, and this is the other episode I was really looking forward to as well. If you just Google top Survivor episodes, this is one of them. And it's not just for the big moment, it's not just for the great lie, because even at the beginning of this episode, we get screaming. Just like we got a couple episodes ago with Rupert screaming, this episode begins with Sandra screaming and this time screaming at John again. So another person yelling at John. John does fight back a little bit, but 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 we got people on edge. Obviously Sandra's upset that she blames John for creating this betrayal against Rupert, and while to everyone's faces is even telling all the other girls like, "See, I guarantee you can't trust him. He's gonna stab you in the back too." Uh, it's we really don't see this much anymore, right in everyone's faces and right after tribal in the middle of the night.
Yeah, you do not see that. Usually, I feel like usually nowadays it's like, "Oh, it's okay. I'm just glad it's not me," or like, "Yeah, I get it. I understand." It's like it's always just chill because you want to be chill. Because if you're not chill, you're out. Like they're gonna vote you out. You're next, especially if you weren't part of the majority vote, which Sandra wasn't. So the fact that she yelled and screamed at John was so good. It was just amazing. I loved it. It was chef's kiss for me. And I love it. I want more of that. That's the energy, the fire I want.
Same here, I loved it as well. You could see the raw emotions of everyone there, they were tense. Wasn't an easy vote for the minority there, for Sandra. She was obviously hurt by that. She knew that Rupert was a key piece to keeping her, Krista, and Rupert himself afloat, so that they could make it to the final 3. And now, Rupert was also providing for them, so it makes just surviving another day a little bit harder in that sense that you now have to rely on someone without having someone who brings in the food like Rupert did. And it's just there was so much to the start of the episode where, who threw away the fish? There was fish here and now it's gone, so everyone's playing the blame game. I believe I heard them blaming Sandra initially, and she was very much in denial And that's what really started the shouting match with her and John. And then afterwards, they started pointing the finger to Krista saying, hey, you were the closest person there. What happened? You're very suspicious in terms of you were the only person who realistically could have done something like that. And what a way to start an episode. I mean, right off the bat, you get a fan favorite being eliminated and just right into the next episode. A lot of emotions, heightened emotions to start off the next day with.
Yeah, throwing away food, huge no. That breaks up. Even if you're in an alliance, that kind of betrayal it's over. Like excommunicated. So like if someone actually did that, then I mean that's I don't know if we'll ever watch it, but like season 3 would have someone who eats food in secret without the rest, and like that's like super duper betrayal, can never be trusted ever again, and
Oh
probably
my
will be immediately
goodness.
voted out. So
Oh,
like
that's terrible.
food's no joke. Now in this case, they blame Krista because they add the probable cause of you were mad that Rupert got voted out, so you wanted to take it out on the rest of us and get rid of the fish. So they kind of make up that reasoning.
Poor
And
Chris.
Weren't they also just saying that she was the closest to it? Because that would have applied to Sandra
yeah.
too.
So like this, they assigned her the means of she was the closest to it, and like while all eyes were on Sandra because of her screaming match, all eyes were not on Krista. So therefore, like she might have done it. Whereas I was looking at Sandra, so I don't think she did it. Is there reasoning of how she was able to do it, and then the motive is what I said. They think that she was mad that Rupert got voted out, and that's why she did that. But tragically, no, she was innocent. She had nothing to do with this.
No, poor thing. Poor girl. Krista, it's like episode 1 Krista again. Where everyone's bullying her and everything. Nobody wanted to care for her, and I feel so bad. And
It's
everyone's blaming
funny.
her, and she's trying to be like, no, I didn't. And then like everyone's like, yeah, you did. Like we saw, like they were like saying that I think she like left for like 30 seconds to get something, or was away for a little bit. And then
Yep.
that's when like that you were gone for 30 seconds. You definitely dumped the fish. But then we
It's
found
ironic.
out the truth.
It's ironic in the sense that this is now the second time in consecutive episodes where Sandra has unintentionally harmed one of the people who would be with her otherwise. In the previous challenge with Rupert, helping essentially get him out, and now essentially putting a target on Krista's back. So not stuff that she otherwise would be meaning to do, but it's just funny that it kind of turned out that way.
Yeah, would these 2 incidents be a smart thing to tell a jury? Or not a smart thing
No,
to tell
definitely
a
not.
jury?
Definitely not.
Be like,
Not
"Oh,
if
I got
not
you
if they
guys all fooled. You thought it was Krista. It was me. It was me. And you voted her
let's
out for
hope
that."
it doesn't come to that. But
Yeah, that's
yes.
true. Imagine. And then people are like, "Ooh, that's respectable. Okay, you're a good liar. I see your game. We're gonna vote you to win, Sandra."
It'd be a bold move. I'll say that. Like this
But
is unfortunate. Like you are totally throwing your former ally under the bus. But I mean these are also desperate times. I mean, because she's chosen to publicly get angry and scream at them, she has to think there's a high chance she's the next target now. So if there is anything that moves the target somewhere else, I mean, you got to roll with that.
Yeah, that's true.
and so the next day we see obviously Krista's upset. She feels alone in the sense that now everyone's thinking that she did it. And if you're in her shoes, obviously, like that's not a good environment to be in. She's thinking, I just want to be out of this game. Like I don't even care anymore. I'm just so upset over how everything is gone. It's not looking good for me. I'm probably the next person out anyway. And Will was really hyping up this episode. So the next day is really why we start to see things take a little bit of a different turn. We get into the next reward challenge, but interestingly enough, for this reward challenge, it's not the contestants themselves that are playing. It's family members or loved ones that are selected for them to play in their stead.
Oh, that's right. And that brings us to babies first. This is
Yes.
both of yours first in actually maybe Angie, you might have seen one, but this is an in-person loved ones visit. There's not letters from home. They're here, and it's been 30 days, so it's been a month since I've seen them.
Oh my goodness. Wah, babies first.
Let's give you the rundown. So we have Sandra's husband arrived. We had Krista's fiance, Dara's boyfriend, Burton's mom, Tawana's friend, Lillian's husband, and John's friend. So we got a mix. We got a bunch of partners. We have friends, and then the mom.
Pretty wholesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very
Love to see it.
touching. Most of the reunions are very touching. And I always hold my breath a little bit with these type of shows where they have that family reunion because I'm always like, because they're just so sweet and like they haven't seen each other and they haven't text or message each other. I'm assuming there's no phones behind the scene, or reception where they're at. So it's very touching and it's very nice to see. It's crazy to see Lillian not kiss her husband. No, I'm kidding. I'm just spreading false rumors now.
You
But
went
it
there,
was
huh?
not as passionate as her kiss to Burton. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
no.
I'm just saying. No,
That's
I'm kidding.
That's the real mystery of the episode for
This
sure.
mess. Yes. I wish Burton was like, your wife kissed me yesterday or 3 days ago or whatever. But
Yeah,
I need
this
to
is.
talk
Ooh.
about. Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was like, I need to talk about Mr. John here and John's friend Dan. Is that the name? Dan.
Dan the
And the
man.
man.
Ugh, not the man. He's like, how's grandma? And then he's just like, grandma's dead. I'm like, what? I'm like, what?
Said she died, dude.
I was like, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And then for a moment, I see a little humanity in John, and I'm like, okay, I feel bad now. Now I feel really bad for being mean and talking bad about him. And what were you guys thought? Like, did you believe it, F? Like in the beginning?
I mean, why wouldn't you, right? And just to give some
That's
additional
true. That's
context
true.
here, the reason he was asking about his grandma was he was telling everyone else, he essentially was just implying that there were two people that he had selected. He primarily had selected if someone was going to come visit, it would be his grandma. So when he didn't see his grandma and saw essentially what was his backup option, that's why he was asking his friend, okay, where's grandma? And it just, it just came across as just kind of a gut punch to all of us viewers who are watching John just kind of Johnny Fairplay, right? Like being all about himself, just kind of taking the game as it comes, but not afraid to stab other people in the back and just like playing a ruthless game in a sense. To see just the humanity in him, see him take a step back and kind of see that, okay, he's got relationships, he's got people who are important to him, and these are the relationships, the bonds in your life that matter. To see something like that hit him hard, I was not expecting that. That kind of just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things that, yeah, like I wasn't like, if I was to say anything about it, I would have just made a joke that like, oh yeah, no, he's just joking. But realistically, I'm thinking in the moment that no, he is facing tragedy, and
Yeah.
it's what can you do about that?
Yeah.
At first, it makes total offense. Like this guy Dan, like he looked like the perfect person you'd expect to come out with John. So at first, but then you start hearing it, and even the way he says it, like it's funny, like in like the way you would say it. She died you. So at first you don't believe, but it's believable that these two friends would talk about it that way. So you would suspect nothing unless you've like heard about this in like Survivor lore. And then it goes on, and the castaways themselves are some of them are emotional, some of them are trying to like half hug John when he has to like walk back to the bench they're all on. Even Jeff, I'm not sure he exactly knows how to handle it. He's trying to move on, but I'm sure people who watch this the first time, even especially on like cable TV, so and in 2003 they can't just like look on Twitter to see what people are saying about it. There probably were tears shed.
No doubt. No doubt. It's just tragic all around, right? You never
Yeah.
want to see someone experience the loss of a loved one. Hits you hard, and let it be known, Lillian gave another kiss away, but to John against not in the mouth, not like with Burton.
No.
So you look out
That-
for these things. It's funny patterns you try to look out for.
I know. We have to see who's shouldering those kisses from
Yes.
Lillian.
100%.
Yes. But I felt bad too. And I think everyone else did as well as we move on to the game. And this game was interesting. It's like one of those couples games that you play to see like if you know who's who. My question of today is who would you guys pick as your person to come in to see you and that you think would do really well in this type of game setting? If
Your
you
thoughts,
had
Will?
to pick one person.
It's so you added a qualifier. So the answer is gonna be my mom.
Oh,
Clearly is a choice. Like it'd be terrible if I didn't pick the person who got me in the show at all. Now the question is, would we be aligned in this game? Would we have the same answers? I mean, I think we have a lot. We do pretty well. I mean, look at Bert and his mom. They were dominating for a while.
They were. I think your mother would do amazing.
Now remember,
I'd have to. Oh, go ahead, Will.
some loved ones challenges are like regular challenges.
Oh,
So-
really? Like physical challenges or puzzle challenges?
Like, they and all types.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's so happened that this one, I mean, even this one. So the name of the challenge was "Loved Ones Overboard." So it involves, like, sure, the actual task is just answering questions, but the loved ones have to jump overboard if they're eliminated. So they gotta, I don't know if this is weird to Lord think about, but what if John's grandma had come? Was
Oh
she gonna
my
walk the plank?
I know you're gonna have grandmama jump down in this height of water. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that. I would be like, can I just not jump down because I can't swim, guys?
It's like, no,
Please.
Angela, we gotta win the challenge.
Yeah,
Gotta win
I'm like,
rule.
can you not put me down? I'll be like, please, guys, I really can't swim. Please don't let me jump down this plank. I'm begging. But I'm surprised. I didn't know that there were different types of challenges, so that's pretty cool.
Yes,
Adds a little spice to the game.
Yeah.
Fired F. So who's your person? Who's gonna come out?
It's
Who's
easy
join
for
that
me.
one?
I would pick my brother. My brother's pretty athletic. He knows me very well, so I think if anything was asked of him, I'm confident he would get any questions about me right, or if there was any physicality involved in this challenge, he'd be able to hold his own.
I love that. Okay. I like it.
And
What about
Oh.
you, Ange?
Ooh, I would easily be picking my husband, Gordon, because I feel like he'll answer a lot of my questions right. And in terms of physical challenges, he'll be great. He'll be better than me. They'll be like, whoa, we should have gotten him instead of you. And he can swim, so
Can
it'll
we
be
tag
perfect.
out for the second part of the season?
Yes, right? I'm like, please. Although I don't know about Gordon's social game. I'm just saying. He'll be like, he'll just be sitting there chilling, not making
No.
any social contact with anybody. He'll be like, oh, I think Gordon just doesn't like us and doesn't want to be part of anybody's group. And then meanwhile, Gordon just staring at space, hanging on the hammock. Don't talk to me, guys.
I mean, hey, if John can make it work, anyone can make it work.
You know what? That's true. That's very true.
So the way this challenge actually works is questions asked, you and your loved one answer, and if you match, then you, the contestant, the castaway, get to pick someone else's loved one to walk closer to the edge of the plank. And right away, the very first thing we see is Sandra target John's friend. And obviously, like, John's upset. He's like, oh, like, I'd love to have my friend here so I can ask more details of my grandma, and every other castaway other than Sandra is sympathetic to this. So this definitely this counts against Sandra. This is a bad look for her. But ultimately the rest of this challenge is gonna be everyone allowing Dan to survive. And that gets him to be the winner. So congratulations, Dan. You are in the Survivor archives now as a challenge winner, along with your friend Johnny Fairplay. And the kind of cool thing is them two get to go back to the original beach, the Balboa Beach, and they're gonna spend the night there. And the rest of the castaways have to go to some other beach and start over. They got no shelter, no fire or anything. So not great for them. I imagine the idea of this was meant for like, oh, you and your significant other get a night to yourselves on the beach. But instead it's John and Dan.
And that's when you discover that John's grandma is alive and well, which I'm glad, okay? I'm glad, Grandmama John, I'm glad you're alive. But still, we were all lied to. It's like, what kind of sick joke? What kind of sick
Oh,
person
man.
says their grandma's dead
It's
for
like,
sympathy?
John, that mother, just
Mother
why you gotta
effer.
be like this? Why you gotta be like this, John?
We cut to them just being like, oh, that was a great performance, and then we go to the confessional and John explains all that. Yes, this was all a master plan. He and his friend talked about this before the season because this loved one things like this is not baby's first for everyone. So that they know this is something that they know is going to happen. So if you get far enough, your loved one gets to come on the show, and so they do it. And I mean, everyone bought it except Sandra. But Sandra being right didn't help her. So in the end, it's just a win-win for John.
So
It-
upsetting.
I have mixed feelings about this one. In one sense, I respect the fact that it is what Survivor is about, whatever you got to do to survive, whatever you can do, and that's what John showed, right? Like he's willing to cross that line. Morally, like most people would not think to go that far, but he's being pragmatic there. He's doing whatever is best for his game, and it successfully works for him. It wins him that game. It lets other people sympathize with him. It helps people connect with him, everyone but Sandra. And at this point, I'm wondering, ooh, if this ends right here, unless she wins an immunity, Sandra might as well be gone. But it worked out for him, and it's just one of those things that, how long can he keep this lie going? Is it something that's going to be brought up later in the season and it's going to come back to bite him? That's what I'm looking out for.
Yeah, I have to admit though, this like it's a bold plan. The intended effect is to garner sympathy. And as long as no one ever figures it out, like if he's at the end, people are gonna feel bad for him. That's there are many factors on who you vote for to win the $1 million, and this is one of those factors. So it's a powerful and bold strategy. But this is a TV show, so he's also realizing he's gonna become an enemy of like a lot of people watching at home. But if he wins, it could be worth it.
Hence the name Johnny Fairplay.
So yeah, this is pivotal. This moment is a top moment in the show. It probably was a top moment ever at this point through 7 seasons. And we'll see what happens. We actually so after we kind of speed past this, like we get the crazy reveal, we're all shocked. We don't really get to see what they do. They probably chill on the beach, I don't know. Dan goes home, and this is when we get a lot of different strategy pieces. So first of all, with everyone back, Sandra has decided that with her and Krista in grave danger, she needs to act now, like even before the immunity challenge. And what she does is approach Tiana first.
Juana. Yep.
And she wants her to work with her and Krista against the main group is Burton and John, so one of them at least. But Tawana doesn't necessarily need to flip. I mean, right now, she is in a group. Like, if she does nothing, she takes no action. Sandra and Krista are going to be next. So she doesn't seem like she's ready to make a move yet. So Sandra decides, well, come along with me at night. I do this every single day / night, and I just eavesdrop on John and Burton specifically. Which, by the way, that is an excellent move. You can't get caught, but if she's doing this every day and not getting caught every day, I mean that is very impressive.
Yeah, queen
Indeed.
behavior. Honestly, amazing.
And this works like a charm, as you might think it was. She brings along Tawana, and they hear it. They hear both of them basically talking about how they want them to at the end, and more importantly, how if it was 3 people, it would be Lillian, not Dara or Tawana. So now she has the information right from the horse's mouth, and this creates the desired effect. She is ready to go against one of John or Burton, and it sounds like Burton's name comes up probably for the same reason that Rupert's name came up. Like, out of those 2, he's a challenge threat, so we'll target him first. So suddenly, like on paper, now they have the numbers again because that's Krista and Sandra, and then D and T. So that's 4 versus 3. So we'll see. But before that, we end up going to the immunity challenge. And this challenge was named, What Do You Make of This? It's a word puzzle. And it's, here's a bunch of letters. Well, actually, it was like, here's a couple words. Use those letters in those words to make 3-letter words, 4-letter words, 5-letter words, 6-letter words, 7-letter words. Like, and then whoever has the most without breaking any of the rules, or actually, I think 20. You need all 20 words. Then you call for Jeff, and if you win, you wins. So this is it's not even like a full puzzle challenge. It's really like a vocabulary challenge. It's pretty
Vocabulary,
unique.
like spelling challenge.
It is
making
like a
sure
scramble.
Exactly. And this is where I guess the mental aspect comes in, right? Like this is more like just thinking about like how you spell a word, thinking about the number of letters in the word, putting it together. You're thinking like internally, like I'm on a timer and I want to be the first person to get this right. So this is one of those challenges that does not require any physicality. So, as soon as I saw it presented that way, I'm like, yeah, honestly, we're going to get a different winner as opposed to the usual suspects. Obviously, Rupert's not here, but I don't think Burton's going to win this one. And
Or so you
interestingly
thought.
enough,
Dun, dun,
yeah, I was going to
dun.
say, as interestingly enough, as the challenge progresses, we see that some people go out and call for Jeff and get themselves eliminated. Now, Burton, when it's his turn, also calls for Jeff. Jeff takes a minute to inspect his board, comes out with nothing wrong, and ends up saying, okay, challenge is over. Burton, once again, wins immunity. And we're left to believe, as the viewers, that, all right, well, this is going to be another quick tribal. But as they're leaving, they for sure must have done some cut-in because Jeff pretty quickly calls them back and then realizes that actually, no, Burton actually did misspell the word liaison and ends up costing him the challenge. But because everyone else got a chance to see everyone's boards as they were walking out, we kind of have to run an audible here. We got to change things up on the fly. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the remaining contestants who weren't eliminated and keep them in the game. Burton is now part of the group that's eliminated, and we're just essentially going to redo this entire challenge. So we as the viewers get to see Jeff on the spot kind of create a new game. Well, the same game, but just essentially condensed round on the fly. And I thought that was interesting, being able to get into that quickly. So we then get into the second round of the challenge. And of the remaining contestants, it's Dara who ends up winning. And here I am thinking that, okay, good. Like, this is her opportunity to shine. It's her opportunity. It's our opportunity as viewers to be able to see what she's made of. And for us to see, like, we haven't seen too much of her, but like, what's her social game like? Like, is this something that she's good at? Is this gonna run into like a string of challenges that she can win? Does this give her the motivation that she needs to keep pushing forward? So that's what I'm looking out for as she wins the challenge.
Yeah, so congrats to Dara. Adds, just like Dan the Man, adds her name to the Survivor archives as a challenge winner. And at this point, I think this was lost upon me in the moment, but thinking back, this should have been easy because D and T should be on the same page. And Tawana now wants to get out Burton or John and knows that Sandra and Krista probably also want to do that. With only you four, you can do it. If she did nothing else but work with Krista and Sandra, they probably would have succeeded at that night's tribal council. But instead of that, T tries to go to John and kind of strong arm him into saying, well, we actually are going to target Burton and you have to vote for us, like, because you need us. Like you don't have the numbers, basically. And this is going to be big props to John. John doesn't want Burton out. They are aligned, but more importantly than that, he is a shield. So people are going to target Burton before they target him. So it is advantageous for him to have Burton in the game. So John puts in great effort to prevent this. And the only way he knows to prevent it is he needs the people who he's alienated, Sandra and Krista. He goes to them and he actually is able to convince them something along the lines of that as part of their, like, those two are always going to be together and Sandra and Crystal will be like at the bottom of the new group unless they work with him now.
Yeah, I'm shocked that Sandra believed him. I feel like after all this time, after all this betrayal, I was shocked that Sandra would believe him. I would be like, whatever, you're dead to me. You've been dead to me like 5 months ago. Even before this started. I'm over you. But I mean, it does make a good, like, it's true. I mean, they're in a tough spot. You know, Krista and Sandra are a very tough spot where they're weak. They have to make some good plays. I just wish that those two, what with Dara and Tawana, would go together and take out Burton or John. I think that would have been a great move.
You gotta give credit where credit is due. This was definitely John's episode. Despite what he did, you know, he had a tall task ahead of him in being able to convince, especially like Sandra, like she's not very trusting of John. To be able to speak to her and convince her otherwise and take the heat off of Burton, very impressive showing for John this episode overall.
I hate to admit it, but yeah, good job, John.
Yep. And so really there's not much that much more to it, because once he's able to convince them that then they have a 5-2 advantage, and that's easily enough. So Tawana ends up being the target despite her trying to do what you want her to do. She is trying to get out Burton, and she thought, I think it seems like she had Sandra and Krista and then wanted also to have John. And who knows about Lillian? I don't think we saw her talking to Lillian. But instead, Sandra and Krista go against her. And that leaves us with our final 6. So we're already at 6. There have been some finales that have been a final 6. Not the case in this season. We got a couple more episodes left before the finale. But those, like, you got a 1 to 6 shot at guessing the winner at this point. So let's go through them real quick. So we have left right now Dara. That doesn't seem great. Like, she has seemingly not done much, but at least she does have a challenge win now under her belt. She has one individual immunity, so that's nice. But she is like the last remaining member of like the kind of alliance, so that's not great.
Yeah, I feel like Dara is put in a really tough spot where she needs to scramble to find someone for the following episode or else she's done for. I think if either she finds somebody or she's going to get voted out. So I wonder who is she going to gravitate towards? Because I don't feel like she made much close relationships with anybody, and I wonder how they're going to talk to like Sandra and Krista about all this the next episode. I wonder like how her reaction would be.
Yeah, I don't know. Like she just seems neutral. It's like
Yeah,
to her
she doesn't
credit, I
care.
don't think. Yeah, to her credit though, I don't think anyone has negative feelings about her. But you also need some positive feelings for you to get anything
We
going.
barely see her. Like that's a problem. So I don't know if future episodes are going to address that, but it's not a good thing. You know, I'm not sure where we're going, quite honestly. It's kind of a shot in the dark for me. I
I
think.
like that.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
look,
honestly, no pun intended. Like
Uh-huh.
I just kind of said that, but yeah.
because so you got Dara, could be John. John is quite the opposite. We've seen a lot of him. He's got a lot of negative
Yeah, I don't know.
relationships. But despite the negative relationships, he got a plan done. So I mean that's a positive in his
This was a
corner.
very good episode for him, no doubt. Although you're expecting him to be able to put up that sort of performance like every episode, and I have my doubts about that. Initially, my head was thinking Sandra or Krista before Krista had any heat put onto her. So I think for the sake of simplicity for me, I'm still thinking I'm still sticking with Sandra here. I think my hype, like my guess for the next episode is if John or Burton don't win a challenge, Burton is going to get eliminated. But if for some reason either of those two win a challenge, it's probably going to be Krista.
Yeah. Krista unfortunately cannot. I don't know. Krista has
Krista was the
trouble.
other one who had mostly positive reactions, people, except for this episode where suddenly, I mean, is it possible people get over it? Because that was all the night of. Maybe they'll forget about it, but
It's
yeah, people were
possible.
not happy with
Yeah.
Krista.
It's possible.
No.
No,
I don't want to like I'm going to go back a little bit. I just want to let you guys know I have not forgotten the scene where all the crabs are eating the fish. Like I still have that etched in the back of my mind.
Oh,
It's kind of horrific.
the thrown out fish.
Yes,
Yeah,
I don't wanna skip that because that's still in my mind. Like, out of the entire 2 episodes, what has etched in my mind the most is the fish being, like, thrown out and being eaten, and then they picking it up on the next morning. I'm like, "Oh god, I don't feel so good, guys. I would not eat this. I won't eat this."
That's true. That's the smell of that fish is hard to forget, which means being angry at Krista is hard to forget too.
Yes, every time they smell fish, they're like, "Oh, Krista." But
Oh
also,
yeah.
like, they don't have a fridge, so the fish is gonna go bad if they don't eat it that day anyway, so or maybe they were planning on eating it
Right, that
when
was
they
probably
came back from
that's
tribal.
probably
Maybe that's why.
plan.
Yes.
That's prob
Oops.
so they went home hungry. I mean, they went to sleep hungry.
Well,
Uh,
that serves them right. I actually am happy that they didn't get fish. I hope they starve the next episode.
Ooh, bummer.
yeah, but then Burren has been like a main character lately. He is great in challenges, but with Rupert gone, he is also a huge target. I mean, he was a target this episode.
Yeah.
That's concerning. We talked about Sandra. Sandra, she's interesting because she's has many positive and negative. She's all extremes. Like people probably do like her a lot, but then there's also people who probably really do not like her.
Mhm. I could see that. I feel like she could be played as, like, a villain, you know? Like, people can see her as a villainous character, but I see her as a hero.
unless she
I
takes your
would
target.
agree with that take if she's a little bit more confrontational than what she is. I think the reasons for her getting upset have so far been pretty justified.
Yeah,
She's
for
not just
sure.
kind of blowing up for no reason. Like she has some legitimate points that she's made, and she has reasons to doubt John. So like I don't know if she's just observant, but she also is pretty pragmatic in that she is sneaking up and listening to their conversations, as Will
It's so
said, like every
smart.
night. So it's yeah, she is playing smart too. So I think this was before I knew some of these aspects, but my initial reason for selecting her was she came across as an underdog who wasn't seen as much, not to the extent that Dara is, but like she's away from the public eye, so she's not going to draw any negativity. Other people are going to shield her ahead of it, but she's also pretty smart. Like she has a pretty good social game, so that she's one of the people who probably can build good friendships with most people outside of maybe John. And as long as she's got other people in the jury, uh, I do see an opportunity for her to be able to win it all.
That
I
just leaves
like it.
Lillian as well. So Lillian, it's hard to say. Like the problem could be if people like she's wearing a Boy Scout uniform, they expect her to be honest all the time, and now like she's been dishonest once, and maybe like once is all it took.
Yeah, I think Lillian, depending how she plays, I think it'll be cool if she flips it and goes against Burton and John and plays with the like with Sandra and Krista and all the other peeps. Like I think that would be cool, a cool flip. I want Lillian to do something more than just following with the status quo of what Burton says. Like I feel like a lot of it she's just following a new leader, and I want to see Lillian as a leader because in the end of the day, even if Lillian does make it as a finalist, I feel like she wouldn't have enough to get any votes. Like, she would either have no vote or just 1 or 2 votes. Yeah, I don't see her as a strong finalist at this time, but anything can happen. Like, I feel like this episode, John had a good episode, but maybe next episode, Lillian makes some good moves, and you're like, "Oh, okay." I want more from Lillian and Sandra. I want more coming out of if Dara is gonna do something, I want Dara to come out and make some moves? I'm hopeful
Isn't
for
that like
Krista, but she's just too neutral. She's too sweet.
isn't that very like ironic though for Lillian? She is a scout leader. Like you would think that she would be like more vocal. She'd be able to take charge more than she actually is.
Yeah, I guess, leading is it like kids, like children, like Boy Scouts or Girl Scout or like I in
Well,
my
yeah.
Twin,
mind
I
I
mean, I guess
thought
that's
Lillian was
a
leading
good
twin
point.
Boy
children,
Scouts.
so
So
I
like
think it's easier that way.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
well,
true. That's a fair point.
it's a different dynamic, especially like people don't want to be bossed around. So it's like if like you are on the show and you're a CEO and you're used to just calling the shots, but you can't just order people around in Survivor. And to her
Yeah,
credit, she hasn't really done that. She has not.
yeah.
Like one of her problems hasn't been being the bossy one. At least not since she's been back.
I
No.
think that this opens up a whole different can of worms in terms of just being a boss versus being a leader, like that conversation. But essentially, just
Yes.
to put it simply, you don't want to be a boss, you want to be a leader. A leader is someone who others want to listen to. They lead by example for the most part. They're not someone who is just barking orders for the sake of barking orders. They show everyone, hey, we have a collective vision here. Let's put this vision together and I'll show you guys by example. Whatever you guys are doing, I'm right there with you. I'm doing it with you. I believe in us. Let's get this done. And the leader's job is to motivate others to follow that goal.
I like
That
that. You're
totally makes
right.
sense.
It does make sense. I like
Yeah,
it.
the wrinkle is like we're at the individual part of the game, and
Yeah.
so people naturally don't want to follow anybody now. Compared to the tribal part of
Yeah.
the game, you are working together.
Yeah, no doubt. Every man for themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited. So we got the way it's gonna work out. There's two more regular episodes. Presumably, 2 people get voted out, and then the finale episode where, and I'll remind what we said last week on last week's podcast to remind you that Jeff told us it will be a final 2. So at the finale, we get one person voted out, a second person voted out, and then final 2, final tribal.
Looking forward to it.
Wait. I know, I'm
Almost
excited.
there. And then right around the corner, let's not forget, zoom back into 2025, season 48. Get hyped.
I'm so
25
excited
already.
I'm excited, guys, for seeing how this season wraps up, our current season, and for the newest season coming. We're like going traveling in time, back, forth, back, forth. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Yes, Survivor F is excited as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to try out to see what other puns we could make in this podcast.
Just look out for some good names. We'll keep them going. Eventually, Will join us as well.
Yes, for sure.
But your final stand on the Great Lie, you go with it, or you can't accept it?
I loved it. Great episode. I don't ever give things 10 out of 10, but very memorable. You hyped it up reasonably so. I was not disappointed.
But let me
really
be clear.
Good.
I mean specifically the lie, the
Yeah.
actions of John and Dan. You good
Absolutely.
with what they did?
Yep.
Okay.
No,
Boo.
same thing applies. It's a memorable episode because of that, right? Like that sticks with you. While I don't agree with it, like I wouldn't do it if I was in his shoes. I could see why he did it. It's smart for him. It works to his advantage. That's his game.
Yeah, no, that's not a no for me. Unless in the final episode they replay it and everyone can boo John for doing this. Then it will be music to my ears. I'll be excited. Then I'm hyped again. I need people to know. Like I want them to find out on screen. I need them to know. I hope they do.
And my perspective is I've had kind of a couple days to rethink about it. It does feel like you've crossed the line. Like it's an effective strategy.
I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that.
That feels, and that's kind of my question. Like, hey, actually, here's the better question. Does this, if someone did this, do they lose your vote? You no matter what else happens, you will not vote for them to win. And it is crazy for me to say this. I think that is the case for me. I think I would be like, it's too dirty. I can't accept it.
No, not at all. I mean, if you find out 100%, you're not getting my vote. Like we have morals. Like there's a line you just don't cross. And that's there's a line for that.
See, I have to rephrase. That's what I was trying to ask you.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not a good one for me. I still stand by it. I don't like it. If I find out, nope, you're not getting my vote. Because that was dirty. That was unnecessary, too. I mean, sure, you get a time with your friend and hang out a little bit, but was it worth it? Like, did you get anything else out of it besides, like, barely 20 minutes of sympathy and that's it? Like, I don't know. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't game-changing.
Yeah, I think almost any other type of deceits and underhanded tactics, not only will be okay with it, you're probably gonna win points for me. It's just this specific one, like real life from outside of the game, I cannot stand behind it. So there we go. There's all of our stances on it. I'm be curious if that's that might be the unpopular take. I'd have to investigate. Maybe I'll do something.
Really?
You think so?
You think so?
I'm shocked.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do whatever it takes. Don't be soft.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's that's what I mean. Like, I could see why he did. I'm just saying, if it was me, I'm not doing that. And if the question truly is, like, if you know that he did that, and you, like, with your own personality, would you vote for him? And then I think if our personalities are aligned in that sense, then yeah, none of us are going to be voting for him. But that then becomes like, can you see why he did that? Where he's being pragmatic. He's taking a win at all costs approach. And is it surprising that some people would do that? I'm sure we're going to see that come up pretty much in every season of Survivor. That's not going to surprise me.
like throwing a challenge might seem cheap, but that's like that wouldn't be a problem for me. You could certainly still win my vote. So there's a line, and this is over my
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
thinking outside the box, but this is very dirty. Like, yeah, I think that's a line you just don't cross. But like, it won him the challenge, and who knows? He could have been voted out this episode, and that might have saved him.
Yeah. All right. I'll tell you what. I'll do some digging. I'll try to find out if we're in the minority here, because my instinct tells me we are, but I'll try to get some stats.
Love to hear it.
And with that, we wrap up another episode of the Island Life podcast. Thank you all for tuning in and listening, and get hyped as we race towards the end of this season and then back into the current Survivor. Until we speak again, ciao.